But I never have nervousness about, am I going to run up against somebody who it turns out finally did have a good argument? You know, and I know that many people, when they hear that, no, I'm not really worried about any opponent you bring along, might say, well, boy, you're a pretty cocksure guy. You think you know a lot. Actually, I don't think I know a lot. I'm always thinking, man, I got to keep reading and learning more and so forth. When I get ready to debate somebody, I was supposed to debate Michael Martin, who is probably the leading scholarly atheist in our country today, and he's written these books, and I did a seminar on that. I felt like I had to do my homework. I just didn't walk in there and say, hey, piece of cake. So I don't think I have any personal arrogance about that, but on the other hand, I have to be honest with you. I'm not afraid of anybody that's out there. Now, why is that? Because the Bible has taken me to the back of the book and given me the answers already.
That's good.
And the Bible has already told me the character of my opponent. Now, my job is to unmask that or divulge that, and I might wish I could be better at it, and I'm always trying to be better at it. But the point is, I never worry about my opponent having something finally that's going to, you know, set back the case that I have. And the reason for that is, number one, the Bible has taught us that all unbelief is foolish. 1 Corinthians 1:20. You will have heard this so many times by the end of our course that you will have to have memorized it as something of the motto of the presuppositional approach to apologetics. 1 Corinthians 1:20. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Hasn't God made foolish the wisdom of this world? That's a rhetorical question. That's not up for grabs. Paul is saying, God certainly has made foolish the wisdom of this world. So where is the debater of this age? Who do I have to worry about, Paul says? Nobody. Because God has reduced to foolishness the thinking of unbelievers. The wisdom of this world, what the world is so enamored of, is in fact foolishness in the eyes of God. Psalm 10, verse 4. The 10th Psalm at the 4th verse. The wicked in the pride of his countenance saith, he will not require it. All his thoughts are, there is no God. Here's the way the wicked thinks. It's interesting the way the psalmist puts it. All his thoughts boil down to this. There's no God. I will not be accountable. I will not be subject to anybody else's higher authority. I'm my own authority. I'm my own judge, therefore I'm my own standard. And all his thoughts are to that effect. I'm on my own. There is no God. So we know that the thinking of the wicked is committed to its own authority. It's committed to an atheistic outlook. That means the people who say they aren't atheists but have not become believers in Jesus Christ, nevertheless, all their thoughts are atheistic. You know, there are people who say, oh, I believe in a God, but I don't think I have to follow Jesus, or I'm not convinced yet, or I believe in another God, or what have you. I just believe some kind of God, no one knows who he is. The psalmist says, all your thoughts are atheistic. And all of your thinking, you assume there is no God. Now, is that right? Is that fair? Is that overstating the case? Dr. Van Til says that when the unbeliever asks whether there is a God, he has already denied the living and true God. Autonomous men don't appreciate that. They find that abhorrent that they can't even ask the question. But you see, in order to ask the question, you've already assumed what God says about himself and the world and ourselves, and then you turn around and try to defy what God has said. By even entertaining the possibility that there is no God, you are asserting your own authority is higher than God. The wicked, all his thoughts are, there is no God. Even when he's trying to search, he thinks, honestly for the evidence that there's a God. All of those thoughts are, there is no God. In this process of trying to prove on your own independent terms whether there's a God, you're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. Psalm 14, verse 1. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. The psalmist is not engaging in name-calling here. The psalmist is not saying, now all those who oppose my point of view, you're fools. He's not using the word fool here as just a term of derision. Mr. T used to do that. Fool. But that isn't what the psalmist is doing. The psalmist is giving a description of a state of mind, which he evaluates to be what? Foolish, futile, vain. And people who are atheists, that's why I think I have the right to a great deal of confidence when I go into debates with atheists. The Bible's already told me. I've gone to the back of the book. I know the end of this thing. The Bible's already told me your opponent's a fool.